Welcome back to Animal Crossing New Horizons. I'm Dear Darling, and my controller's not working. And shall we see what's going on our lovely island of Fawnhallow today? As just finished, no, not just finished, but got finished doing the stream with everyone. Yeah, we finished up Pikuniku. I guess we could talk about Pikuniku. Like, I didn't think I was going to talk about it. I'm not really sure what to say. It's like a charmingly cute game. There's not much to say about it. Like, it's not a very deep. Well, I don't think it's a very deep game, but maybe I'm mistaken. It's just sort of like a weird, wonderful, cute, short little excursion. Hello, everyone. Right now in Fawnhallow, it's 5:35 p.m. on Sunday, August 4th, 2024. Yeah, it's like, and I'm trying to think. It's if you want like a short game, like 2 to 3 hours, so a little bit of fun. Absolutely, pick it up. It's probably like dirt cheap right now, is my guess. Apparently it's £11 on Steam. Okay, so that's quite expensive, but I imagine it probably goes on 90% sale or something. It's such an old game, and I just had it randomly in like a bundle I bought on itch.io like ages ago. So all in all, it's short and it's light-hearted fun. Apparently you can play it co-op, which I didn't know, but still. Played it on by myself. I thought it was still charmingly fun as well. I mean, I guess there will be spoiler warnings, but this is not a game you play for the story, I'm going to be honest. It's just like, it's just so silly, I guess. It's just a silly game. It's just a really silly, cute, whimsical game. Like there's like not much depth to explore it. Like what's it saying? Like critiquing story wise. Like, you know, I guess I mean there's a critique of capitalism here, but it's like the most heavy-handed critique in the world, and it's very over the toply comical. Like what like mechanics are there to explore? It's like mechanics aren't necessarily, they're not like, you know, Celeste level where it's like, oh, everything feels like so smooth and dynamic. It's very silly, it's a little bit clunky, things just sort of like roll around, everything sort of feels like it's, you know, got no weight to it. You like run into it and it sort of just like bounces around. It's just silly is what I say. Like I cannot stress this enough, this game is cute, whimsical, silly, fun. That's it. And really, that should be it. Like, end of. Like, if that sounds like something you'd like to try, absolutely play it. If not, give it a skip. But because there's not much else to say about the game, that's just kind of what it is. But if I were to break it down more, it's like, I guess it's in the loosest definition a puzzle platformer. It's not like that it isn't, it's just like the puzzles are not particularly hard and the platforming mechanics are more like goofy rather than something where I'm looking at being like, yeah, that's a tight puzzle platform or anything like that. It's just like, it's like I can't think of how else I can reiterate. How much can I reiterate that it's just silly? It's got like some puzzle elements. I guess it's kind of got more exploration elements and puzzle elements, and it's got like a story and like a colourful cast of characters you meet. Most of the characters don't have names. I don't think any of the characters have names apart from the antagonist, now I think about it. And it's just kind of like you go to like 3 different worlds, you to help the people out, and then that's it. I would say it's quite a funny game. There's not like moments where I just like, okay, that's quite funny. Just for like how over the top silly it is. My sort of summary is, if you've played a silly game before, something like Watam, something like Katamari Damacy. Apparently Wobble Dogs is, I don't know if it's the same developers, but it was referenced in this game. If you played a game like that, you'd probably know if yes, this is your sort of game, or no, this is not my sort of game already. And at that point, that's totally fine. You know, it's just like a short excursion in the first place. So there's not really much more for me to personally add to it. It just sort of like is just like this little silly fun thing. Yeah, I'm just sort of just trying to think what else I can really touch upon in it. Like, mechanically, like gameplay, like it's weird because there's not much I would say which is terribly bad about it, and not much I would say which like stands out as like this will live in my brain forever. It's just sort of just like, this is a fun excursion. I will say, if I had to critique it, there's a lot of running back and forth. And because the mechanics are inherently a little bit silly, it is a bit clunky to do so. And sometimes it's a little bit unclear, like clarity-wise, what the game design sort of clarity, not like the clarity of like I can't see what's going on. I can see very much what's going on, but it's more like a ambiguous, I suppose. But it can be a little bit clunky going back and forth between things. The boss fights are like, I get why they're there, but they're also like, they're not particularly engaging in any sort of way because the mechanics again aren't that crazy. It's sort of like it basically is like a 2D walking simulator, I guess, with like some light puzzle elements and some like actual mechanical boss elements. Would the game be fine? That's an interesting question. Would the game be fine if it didn't have a boss fights, like with mechanical boss fights? And I'm going to be 100% yes. In fact, I almost would say they're a little bit superfluous because it doesn't feel like the game which should really have a boss fight, in my opinion. It's just so casual in the first place. It's like, what else can I say about it? And I don't want to make it seem like I'm saying, oh, this is a terrible game, don't play it. It's just like, there isn't, like, it's so easy to just like encompass what this game is, but there's no reason, I think, to... It's hard for me to like dip into it even further. If you can play it with a friend, absolutely play it with a friend. I'm sure it would be like silly fun, but it's just like there's not much else to say about it. It's a silly, fun, light-hearted game. Like, it was fun to have your sort of like casting characters come around. Like, again, I found it funny, especially when I'm not sure what the funniest thing. The funniest moment I had in it, it's very sort of like, how do I say, like, it's not understated humor, but very sort of like play something silly straight humor. Deadpan, I guess, kind of. I don't know. Like, I think one of my favorite interactions is with a shopkeeper at the beginning who was like, oh, I thought you were like going to be a really terrible monster, scary monster, but then you just look like a normal blob or whatever. You can go around, you can kick things. Everything sort of like works under the sort of physics system. Where things are just like, you can carry them around. Like, there's very funny moments where you can just like ride on the NPC's head and talk to them, or you can pick up the NPC and move them where they want to go. It's, yeah. Its story is like surface level, really, like a capitalist antagonist wants to make the perfect world by basically destroying everything and rebuilding it in his image, but it's played very much for laughs, like tying in with a comically evil thing I was talking about yesterday. It's played very much for laughs because it's so over the top. Like, it's cartoon supervillain, Sunday morning cartoon supervillain sort of story. And then you had to stop him. Like, I'm really struggling for words here, which is unique for me, I think, when it comes to actually talking about video games, because there's really not too much to say. I didn't delve into it like super deeply, I guess. Like, maybe there's more depth to be had on like going through again and finding all the secrets. I'm gonna be honest, I would be a little bit surprised. I think it probably is more of the same thing, which if you love, absolutely go for it. But for me, it was just like, yeah, this is just like a nice experience, and it doesn't need to be anything more than that. It's fun, it's slapstick, it's cute. I don't really know. I'm just trying to think. I guess, like, if anything, that should be more is more like, it would have been, I suppose, a little bit more, I suppose. It's like, there could have been something more interesting. Not something more interesting, but there could have been some things which is like taken up from like from a good to great, you know? Sorry, drinking some water. Yeah, that's actually a very good point. I'm looking at some Steam reviews now. As I said, like, I think this game doesn't even need boss fights, to be perfectly honest. Like, I almost think they could be narrative boss fights or like very simple puzzles, if anything. It almost feels weird that they have boss fights where it's like, oh, here's a mechanical thing. Because the first one is about like kicking pine cones at a boss, which is still like, the mechanics of the game are just so like outrageously clumsy on purpose. Well, not clumsy, but they're outrageously like lax on purpose. There's like hard to get much like sort of precise aiming or anything with it. You just sort of randomly kick and it'll be like, oh, hopefully that went in the right direction. If not, oh well. But the other boss fight, like, there's one which is like a chase sequence, which is actually surprisingly difficult. Like, I didn't die on it, to be perfectly honest. It's very easy for like anyone who plays games, but I guess my thing is, this game looks like it should be a super family friendly, super beginner friendly game, right? There shouldn't feel like there should be any sort of mechanical quandary with it. Like, it's a game where I'd be like, oh, I'd expect to be able to give it to like a 3-year-old and they'd have a blast playing it because it's such silly fun, and they'd be able to beat it because it's so lax and easy. But there's things that now I'm thinking about it, I'm like, this seems unnecessarily hard for this sort of game. Not hard for me personally, but hard for what a target audience this could appeal to. Because it's already so silly, lax and fun in the first place. I think everyone who's played it and invested time into it understands that's what they're signing up for. They're not looking for any sort of mechanical depth or difficulty. But it's like the chase sequence, I don't know how close I was to actually dying. I don't know if they have like this, they just keep the boss very nearby to make it feel like you're at danger in all moments. But that seems like strangely unnecessarily hard. There's also a rhythm game music, a rhythm mini game section. I don't know how difficult that is because I am really good at rhythm games, so I basically 100%ed it. But rhythm games are characteristically quite difficult for people just to like pick up like that, especially if you're not used to them. So I gotta imagine that part was actually probably quite difficult for if you're not good at rhythm games, or if you're not used to rhythm games, which seems, yeah, as I say, uncharacteristically difficult. I'm not sure why they would need something that difficult, but I don't know. The final boss fight, I don't even remember what the final boss fight is now. I remember that water balloon boss fight. What was the final boss fight? I don't know, because this person says there's a paddle boat chase segment that is uncharacteristically unforgiving. I don't even remember what this is. Oh yes, no, I do remember the final. that is 100% true. I actually died on that fight because I was just like, what? But there's basically in the final boss place, you're on a paddle boat. You're chasing the final boss, the capitalist dictator, essentially, and you're chasing them on like paddle boats, on like the swan boats. And I would thought it would just be a straightforward like just hold right or whatever. Maybe there'll be some simple platforming. But what he actually does is he fires like corn at you backwards and you had to jump over it, except for the things are traveling really quickly. You really don't have a lot of time to react to it. So I immediately died and I was like, whoa, okay, that was uncalled for. And I was like, okay, I guess I gotta hold back a little bit to actually jump over it. But the thing is, that's intuitive for me as someone who plays games. If you don't play games, you're going to be holding right, going max speed the entire time and being like, this is so insanely difficult trying to jump over things which I have like a fraction of a second to react to. Which is basically what I'm just saying, like these boss, you will never really hear me say this, but for what this game is silly, cute, light-hearted fun. All ages should be able to enjoy it from like its vibe, I think. Why is the boss fights randomly so much more difficult than the casual gameplay it provides? Like the rest of the casual gameplay, there's basically no fail states. A boss fight are the only fail states in the game. So why have I want to reiterate, if you play games, it's not going to be difficult. But if you don't play games, which I feel like this game should appeal to, it's like, it doesn't need to be that difficult. Anyway, that's like the only real negative I can think of. The rest of it is sort of just like, most of it's like, it depends on who you are as a person, whether it will appeal to you or not. It's just very sort of light-hearted and casual. I think it was still a fun, like little jaunt. Like, there's not... But there are optional, more difficult, like, mechanical challenges in it, which, again, strikes me as a little bit strange, but because they're so hidden, they're not crucial to the story, they're optional, I think that makes a lot more sense. But it's just like a little silly fun. I don't really know what else to say about it. Like, it's fun to talk to the NPCs and see, like, what they're like thinking, what they're talking about. It's silly just to sort of like run into them and kick them about, to be honest, and they just go like, wow. Yeah, it's like, it's again, not something to take like all that seriously. It's just light-hearted, it's fun, it's silly. And if you like those light-hearted, fun, silly games, then I think you probably would like this game. I mean, it's so, like, it's not even like a high commitment game. It's only like a couple of hours, so that makes it really fun in its own right too. So yeah, I mean, I don't know what else I can really say about that. It's just like, if it sounds like your sort of game, I can't recommend it enough. If you like these sort of fun, silly games, play it. If you don't play it. it's so hard. Like, I don't know. What else does Steam review say? Literally, one of the most video games ever is probably the best way I can describe it. but that makes it sound like a bad thing, because that's kind of used in like sort of a meme way, isn't it? 4-year-old sister loves it? Absolutely, yes. And I'm sure all young kids would love it as well. It's charming, yeah. Didn't run into bugs. I will say there's a section with Ernie, they're like a super like inflated worm or something, where you're trying to navigate him through the buttons. That felt like it wasn't mechanically very sound, like it felt a bit weird. But it's a thing that you can probably just button mash through, so it's not really a big deal. It's just a bit strange. Yeah, I don't know what it is like in co-op. Oh, also that's true, very big missed opportunity. You can't actually send a postcard. The first person asks you to send a postcard, you get a postcard, and there's post boxes around, but you can't actually send them. Which I mean, you can say is like meant to be a mechanical joke, in the game or something, a dig at something. But I'm gonna be honest, if that is a joke, the joke doesn't really land personally for me. I think it would have been funny if you sent the postcard, or like there's like a joke within the process of sending the postcard itself. But I probably wouldn't buy it for £11, but I would buy it for like £4 or something, or £5. But I don't know, that's up to you. I think if you have some kids who might enjoy it, like absolutely go for it. They'd probably have an absolute blast playing it. There's really, I'm really struggling on what else to sort of like dig into here with Pikuniku. It's just like, it is, thankfully, it's a game which is exactly what it says, like on the tin. You look up, if you watch a trailer for Pikuniku, I don't even know what the trailer is, you'll watch it and you'll be like, yep, that's exactly what that game is. Like, nothing else to it. And there doesn't need to be anything else. I don't want to make it feel like there needs to be something else. It's just all it needs to be. Just cute, silly, fun. You play as a little red bean, walking about the place, and that's it. I'm looking at the Pikuniku subreddit now to see if there's anything I'm missing out on. Silly, fun. I don't know what else to say. Oh my gosh. Someone drew a very crazy scarecrow face. There's apparently a lot of co-ops as well. I'm sure co-op can be a lot of fun as well. Yeah, as I say, it's a game which, if anyone told me it was their favourite game, I'd be a little bit surprised. I mean, I'd absolutely want to hear and delve into that deeper. Like, why is it your favourite game? If it's anyone's least favourite game, I'd be like, what? It's just simple, charming fun. Like that, and sometimes that's good. Sometimes that's all you need. And it doesn't need to be anything more than that. Like, that's all I can say. Anyway, I've blabbered on about nothing enough. So apparently you can skip a first boss fight. What? Oh, if you do some weird sort of platforming elements, is it? Oh, interesting. Anyway, I'm going to round this episode off here because I've spoken about nothing for long enough. So if you have been watching, thank you very much. It's been Animal Crossing New Horizons. I've been Dear Darling. Likes, comments, subscription, shares, greatly appreciated. Socials, Discord down below. Hope to see each other again, but for now, it's our farewell. So until next time, bye-bye for now.